Welcome back to Simply Sakura, my friends. I do hope you're all doing well today. My name is Gary Sakura, and this is my MotoVlog and True Crime stories. I simply drive around on my motorbike and tell true crime stories. If you're new here, greetings, and I'm so glad that you stopped by. Do you love true crime or unsolved mysteries while enjoying a different, unique type of a motovlog? Then I suggest that you hit the subscribe button below so you don't miss out on any of my future true crime stories. Today I'm going to try something completely different. We are going to talk about an unsolved mystery. I came across this story about 2 weeks ago, and I thought it was quite interesting, to say the least. I will begin by telling the unsolved mystery, and then I will present any case file theories that I find suitable for this story. Our unsolved mystery today is the disappearance of Sherry Marler. With that, let's dive right in. The morning of June 6th, 1984, started like any other for families throughout the U.S. Sherry Marler's mother, Betty, woke up early because she had to be at the Waffle House restaurant by 7 a.m. sharp for the start of her shift. After getting ready, she quietly left the house. She did not want to wake her 12-year-old daughter, Sherry, who was sleeping on the couch after giving up her bed to her stepdad's aunt, who was in town visiting for the week. Shortly after 9 a.m., Sherry noticed her stepdad, Raymond, was backing his red pickup truck down the driveway. She raced out of the house, shoes in her hands, asking if she could go into town with him. At around 9:30 a.m., Sherry and her stepdad stopped at the First National Bank so Raymond could get some paperwork signed. Sherry said that she was thirsty, so Raymond gave his stepdaughter a $1 bill and told her to go buy herself a beverage at the Chevron gas station across the street. Witnesses saw Sherry walking across the parking lot by the General Telephone Building and a Jergens furniture store on her way to the gas station. 15 minutes later, Raymond was all done at the bank, and he went out to his truck. He was surprised Sherry was not there waiting for him. When 25 more minutes passed with no signs of Sherry, panic began to set in. Raymond immediately called Betty at the Waffle House. He wanted to see if Sherry had stopped by there for a visit. Betty, of course, said no. She had last seen her daughter that morning fast asleep on the couch. The young girl was finally reported missing at 11:46 a.m. Before long, a massive search effort was underway. Volunteers combed the city and the surrounding area. An aerial search was even conducted by the Crenshaw Flying Service. Family, friends, and volunteers printed off countless missing person posters and plastered them across the city and the neighboring towns. Despite all the efforts, Sherry remains missing. Sherry is a Caucasian female with brown hair and brown eyes. When she disappeared in 1984, she was 5 foot 4 inches tall and weighed approximately anywhere between 100 to 120 pounds. Sherry has 2 distinguishing marks, a 2-inch scar on her tummy and a 1-inch scar on the back near her shoulder. Sherry was last seen wearing a long-sleeved red plaid flannel shirt, light jeans, gray runners with Velcro fastenings, and a watch with a black band. Pictured here is Sherry at 12 years old, the day she disappeared. That brings us to our first case file theory that we will talk about. Did Sherry simply run away from home? Well, Sherry's family thinks that it was unlikely. As heartbreaking as it is to think about, it's not uncommon for children to run away from home. In fact, in 1984, the Department of Health and Human Services reported that the number of runaway youths in the United States was more than 1 million children. But was Sherry one of those million runaways? Her mother, Betty, has always insisted her daughter was very happy and a content child with no significant issues. She said Sherry had no reason to leave home. Sherry was excited about all the plans she had made for the day she disappeared. She was going to watch her favorite television show and visit with her grandmother. By all accounts, Sherry was the type of child who did what she was told. She did not take any of her belongings with her when she headed into town. Even more, she was never once contacted her family in all the decades that she has been missing. Which brings us to the second case file theory we will talk about. Was Sherry simply abducted by a stranger? Maybe. Stranger abductions are rare, but Sherry could have been kidnapped by someone as she walked across the parking lot to simply buy a drink. It doesn't take long to grab a person and pull them into your vehicle. Sherry could have been snatched from the Chevron gas station. Sherry's mom has pointed out that in 1984, vending machines did not give change. Maybe Sherry approached a stranger at the gas station to simply ask for change, and then the person took advantage of the opportunity and kidnapped her. 3 unconfirmed sightings of Sherry by 3 different people also support the stranger abduction theory. All of the alleged sightings place Sherry with a man who looked to be around 50 years old and 5 foot 8 inches tall. The man had a husky build and a weathered complexion. One of the witnesses reported that they heard the young girl call the man BJ. Disturbingly, all 3 witnesses told the authorities the person they believed was Sherry appeared to be very upset, disheveled, and completely dazed. Which brings us to our third case file theory we will talk about. Was Sherry simply killed by someone she knew? It is a possibility. It is no surprise that Raymond, Sherry's stepdad, was the first person questioned by the police. After all, Raymond was the last person to see her. Raymond cooperated with the police and answered all their questions. But when they asked him to take a polygraph test, he simply refused. Regardless, the police said that he never had a suspect in the case, and his wife Betty was absolutely positive Raymond did not harm his stepdaughter. Betty said she never got over the fact that Sherry was with Raymond when she vanished. Just before Raymond died in April of 2003, he told his wife from the hospital bed, "Betty, I wish I could go and get Sherry and bring her home to you, but I can't, because I don't know where she's at." If Raymond was not involved in Sherry's disappearance, could it be someone else she knew? In 2018, the Burke County County Sheriff's Office in South Carolina said that Sherry had stayed with her stepsister and her stepsister's husband in the St. Stephen area near Batal Road back in the summer of 1983. Police received a tip that Sherry was spotted in the same area after she was reported missing in 1984. Were these simply family members somehow involved in Sherry's disappearance? If so, did they take her against her will? Or had Sherry actually run away from home and sought shelter in the South Carolina area for some reason? In 2019, there was a very startling post on the Sherry Lynn Marley Still Missing Facebook page. A woman named Ryan Welch Anderson said that her and her group of volunteers have been searching tirelessly for years to find out what happened to Sherry. They found evidence they refused to keep to themselves any longer. Part of the post reads, Sherry Marler was murdered and dismembered by someone who she knew very well. Not to believe it was her stepfather, but she was thrown into a hog pen in Butler County. We believe the person who took her life is now deceased. We also strongly suspect that there were one or two other people at the time of her disappearance, but we also think that they are deceased as well. We also strongly suspect Sherry was pregnant at the time. We believe that she was a victim of a multiple family-based incest ring that involved people from both Butler and the Crenshaw counties. Ryan says they unearthed the pig farm that was functional in 1984 but had since been abandoned and reclaimed by nature. The group says that they had found video footage of two separate cadaver dogs, confirming hits on human remains in the area. During their excavation, the group discovered clothing that was sent in for DNA testing. Here is a picture of the fabric that was found at the pig farm. The Greenville Police Department said that no DNA evidence was found on the material. To me, the fabric looks more like a burlap sack than a pair of jeans or red flannel shirt that Sherry was said to be wearing when she vanished. Ryan also states that a surviving family member of the person who she thinks took Sherry's life allowed her to look through a box of old photographs. Some of the photos showed the pig farm up and running, and one photo in particular shocked Ryan. It was a photo of a pig standing by what she claims is a severed head that had not yet decomposed. Ryan says that she took a picture of the photo with her phone. Pictured here is the photo that Ryan took, showing the pig standing over what could be a severed head. The original photo was reportedly seized from law enforcement and then turned over to the FBI. However, when nothing happened with the case, Ryan called the FBI and she was told that they never received any such photo. I think it's hard to tell exactly what is in that photo that Ryan took. I honestly don't see any severed head, but it may be one of those situations where, someone takes the shape of something that only they expect to see. Whether or not Ryan and this group of searchers have found evidence of Sherry remains to be seen, but their dedication to the case and to finding answers for Sherry's loved ones can't be questioned. What do you think happened to Sherry? Sherry was a fun-loving tomboy who enjoyed farming, being outside, and listening to her Kenny Rogers album. Who didn't? She was an adventurous spirit and could not wait to trade in her moped for a three-wheeler on her 13th birthday. Sherry's loved ones had to live decades without any answers. Every day, her mother, Betty, has had to face the horrible truth that her daughter is still missing. And though her stepdad, Raymond, died without ever finding whatever happened to Sherry, somehow, though, Betty still manages to find some solace. She said, Sherry was always a happy little girl, and that's what I remember the most, even in my dreams. Betty has fought hard to keep the memory of her daughter alive. She opened a restaurant on June 6, 2010, the 26th anniversary of Sherry's disappearance. The sign on the street said the restaurant was open in honor and memory of Sherry Lynn Marler. Betty explained, we want to honor her memory, but we also want to heighten the people's awareness of the reality of children missing every day in this country. To that end, Betty joined Team Hope, which simply means Help Offering Parents Empowerment. It was a program created by the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children to train family members of the missing and sexually exploited children so that they can help others in their situation. Betty said, "At Team Hope, we are members of the club no one wants to belong to. I volunteer in the hope that no one else will ever have to go through what our family has been through." Pictured here is what Sherry would look like age progressed at 44 years old. If you have any information about Sherry's disappearance, please contact the Center for Missing and Exploited Children at 1-800-843-5678. Anyway, this concludes today's Motovlog and True Crime Stories with Simply Sakura. I do hope you found this story interesting. There are plenty more Motovlog and True Crime stories coming very soon. Thanks so much for hanging out with me today. If you have any comments or you would like to add a case file theory of your own, I highly encourage that you leave them down below. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you soon.